You are now tuned in to The Gifted Gab.
Wow, that was close. That
Yes,
was
sir.
close. Well, now it's time to sit back, relax, take a deep breath, whether you're on your morning commute or you're at the gym or you're watching this from your living room on a Friday night. You're now tuned into a new episode of 1K Convos on The Gifted Gab. I'm here with my guy, Ethan. Ethan is, there's not one word to describe what you do. You do a lot of things, but I think the word or sentence or phrase I would use to describe you is you're very true to yourself and living your truth. And, you got a lot of different projects going on.
Yeah.
Your weight loss journey has been impressive.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Public speaking, you've been on TV, you've been a voice in this movement for a long time now. It might not feel that long, but it is a long time. I think, anything over a year is a long time.
I mean, fair.
Look
Look at this pandemic.
Yes, it's the pandemic has gone on 2 years. It's a long time.
It's a long time.
First of all, how are you feeling? Like, how are you feeling? Like, with everything going on with, we're still in the middle of this shit.
Oh, I'm honestly good. It is a lot with, everything that's external going on. But, by way of, existing in a pandemic, it's been so long. It's just life now. There's a new normal. And, if you don't adapt fast enough, you sit there and you lose. And, when you're an entrepreneur, you have a business. It's how you feed yourself and your kids. And, you got to stay above it. So just trying to go with the flow and do what I can to keep, providing service to people and, get the job done.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm tired like everybody else.
I think we're all tired.
But still here, still kicking and still disturbing that shit.
Disruptive. I like the word, if there's one word that's become my favorite word throughout the pandemic, is disruptive. I think you can be creatively disruptive. You can be, obviously institutions have become there's financial disruptions. Things are not what it once used to be.
Yeah.
I think like the sooner we wrap our heads around that, the sooner we can
move
forward.
Move forward. Not even move on, just move forward.
But you yourself have been disruptive, both creatively and just disruptive. Just disruptive.
That's a good word to describe. Any one of my circles can see that and just cackle.
But it's become very productive. Like the city's listening to you. People are hearing what you have to say. What has gone. I know that the passion is behind it, but tell me a little bit more about what kind of fueled you to speak more.
I think what fueled me outside of the ridiculous support system that I have is seeing the constant effect that, sharing and being open and vulnerable and, diving more into the suck has been. The more that I go into that place and, have to dig, into the not so nice pieces of what I've experienced in this lifetime and you get to share it openly and have it be received the way that it does and have it, change the way people view mental health or change the way they view themselves, maybe their partner, brother, sister, the people in their life. Like that's a weird blessing in kind of an ugly fight, to be able to hold this space. So, I think that, I don't really know how else to do it. I don't know how else to be. It's just how it works. And I love doing it. I love being that. It is a wild undertaking, but being disruptive is kind of, what makes me tick now. So for me to answer this call and to dive in deep is what it takes to do this. And like I told you before we started, being uncomfortable is like my favorite thing. It sucks and it is still uncomfortable, but if I'm uncomfortable, I'm taking steps in the right direction and moving forward. So that's how it works for me.
Yeah. And you focus obviously from the mental health aspect, you know, you are a person that I think your experience is your expertise, you know.
Yeah.
If anybody's more qualified to speak on it, it's someone that's, you know, had their own battles, had their own struggles with it, you know. Me personally, I have a very, very complicated relationship with academia because it removes the experience. It's always a third person narrative, you know. But when it's from the first person, it's raw, it's real, it's uncomfortable. You're right, but people listen.
Yeah, and so I've found so far.
so far. So tell me how it's kind of fueled some of the projects you got going on. I don't know if the ones you were talking about.
Yeah. You know, fueling these projects is everything about me is kind of the same everywhere I go. You know, I still have to heal and grow as I do this. You know, there's lots of things that come up as you dig and as you dive into that war. You know, so fueling projects is more, you know, I've healed in a certain way, or I've healed and found answers this way. You know, fueling a project is just sharing tools right now. That's a project that's never ending for me. How I share and share tools is, you know, it works for me, and it, you know, wasn't a doctor that said, you know, this, that, and the other thing. You know, I have a fun thing about psychiatrists and doctors and my experience with the health system the way it is. You know, so for me, it's I've had to go other routes. So it fuels me because my own mental health and my own journey isn't done, and it never really will be. So how can I navigate that and still do good work? Well, to share the work that I did. I did it on myself. I know that it does work, and it could work for you. It may not. I'm not a doctor. I am just a guy that's experienced in sharing it. You know, it fuels itself that way when I keep healing. You know, to write a book about this whole, you know, childhood trauma experience that I, you know, lived through, the violence, the, you know, drug addiction, the you know, everything in my life that I've gone through, writing a book about that, the way that I went about it, the way that it's kind of come to, and having, you know, working on getting it published now, you know, fueling that has been hard. You know, the imposter syndrome has been pretty aggressive. Like, it's a book. It's a tangible, real, you know, like my videos are real. You know, the work I do is real, but it's also very, you know, there's a screen, I'm here, people talk to me and they communicate, but I don't, you know, get to really interact in a human connection a lot of the time, especially because a lot of this progress has been during COVID, right? So it's been a lot of Zoom meetings, it's been a lot of, you know, stuff like this where it's come out afterwards. This is the most human connection that, you know, I've really got doing this work up until more recently. So, you know, doing the book it's still like, what do you mean I want to put this out? Now I can't take it back. You can't take it back. And who's going to want to hear it? Like I talked about this the other day in a pay by donation reading that I did with a Q&A after, talking about imposter syndrome and how it's been like a real pain to deal with, and it's really aggressive for me. Like, I really don't, you know, I struggled with it for a long time up until, well, yesterday. And this idea that no matter what, I can't take it back, and who's going to believe me, kind of fueled the need to keep doing it, because it is that, you know, I am also self-aware enough to know that the more that happens, the more I'm kind of on the right track. You know, it's preventing me from doing something. And every time that thing has happened, when I beat imposter syndrome, you know, every time that thing has happened, it's always been the next step in my career, or the next step to someone else's healing, or my own, or, you know, whatever it is. Beating imposter syndrome kind of sets off like that. If you can get through it, good things will happen. And it's about a book that has to come out. So what's the only option that I have? Put the book out. Put the book out, yeah. Right, get after this thing and get it done. Like, it just is constantly fueled. Like, everything about the work that I do and who I am as a person fuels. It all feeds and fuels itself. Like, it's just, I don't, honestly, you can ask some of my team, I don't know how else to be. This is the calling that was placed on my life, and I'm just trying to answer it the best I can.
And it's actually, when you say it, it's actually very simple, you know. Just do it and be yourself. Like, it's that, what's that phrase? Keep it simple, stupid. Like, it's as simple as that. It's like, being yourself is the easiest thing to be in the world. And
if you know who you are.
If you know who you are. That's it right there. If you know who you are. And, like, there's a lot of noise out here. Like, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of instances where you might get FOMO. Right? You know, there's a lot of that. I get a lot of that. And I also struggle with imposter syndrome sometimes, you know, like, but you get past it by, okay, we just got to do it. right?
He's
And
good.
and it's a very fine line, because I truly believe, like, whatever the ideas you have in your head, some may say that's not real, but in your reality, it's very real.
Mm-hmm.
Your perception is everything. So if you're looking at things, you're saying, oh, I don't know if I even belong in this room. Who am I to write a book? Who am I to create a film? Who am I to start a podcast, right? When you start to believe those things, right, that comes with that imposter syndrome, it might inhibit you, but you're the only person that makes those things real.
Yeah. Well, and that's like what they call it, like the dry bones of it. It's seriously, that thing is BS. Are we allowed to swear on your show? I didn't even ask. I should ask.
Yeah, you
can
can.
I'm gonna go, because
man.
I've been on a lot. You got to do this thing. I've been good with my due diligence. I'm talking to everybody else because I ask. Because those of you that know me know that this thing has a mind of its own. It's bullshit. Oh, that felt so much better. That imposter syndrome, that lie, that thing. Everyone has one. Mine is, who's gonna want to hear you? It's always, you aren't good enough, because who's going to want to hear you? Talking to another good friend of mine, it was, why would you let somebody take care of you? Another friend is, seriously, singing. That's all that they would hear. Is like, who said that to you? When you hear that, I want you to just freeze. Time out. Bear with me. I want you guys to time out. This is a really fun little trick. Ask yourself, who said that to you? Because it wasn't you. Who talks to themselves that horribly? Who does that? Nobody. So who said it to you, or who made you believe that that was in fact true? Because the only reason that we believe it's true is because somebody made it. Somebody, society, a friend, a mom, a dad, somebody made that thing real, or did something to bring that lie into fruition for you. And now that thing is what stops you, because it stopped you before. It knows it can make you pump the brakes, but it is bullshit. It's a lie. This is a symptom of a problem that happened already. This is not it. That's how simple it is to know that that's a lie. This is the symptom of a tragedy that happened. And I'm not talking trauma and abuse. I'm talking about somebody killing something in you.
It's a residual. There's a residual.
You dig there? That lie holds nothing on you anymore. But people get stuck in this fight. And I get it. I get stuck there all the time. Until I remember that someone else killed it. I didn't do that. I don't think I'm that worthless. Somebody else maybe believed it at one point in time in my life. That's that imposter syndrome. That's that bullshit.
Yeah. And it's a mental fight, man. Like, prior to this, I came from the sports world. And in sports, and you too, like, it's 95% mental. The whole point of this stuff and these journeys and, trying to accomplish these they're large, phenomenal tasks. Writing a book is not easy. But the person that did write the book, they just did it. It's that simple. The person that did go and create this piece of content or do this public speaking or they just did it. And it's really that simple. The mental gymnastics that we have to go through in our head, that's that part where they say, sports is 95% mental. That mental work in between is up to us.
Yeah.
So it's I'm sure many people, I know everybody struggles with imposter syndrome.
In some way, shape, or form.
It's but at the end of the day, it's like, that doesn't define you, You define yourself at the end of the day. All right, you choose which thoughts you want to listen to, which thoughts you want to, let stop your progress. It's the same thing with, like, whether you're trying to lose weight, right, and you want to stick to a diet. There's a little voice in your head that says, hey, man, just have that donut,
Yeah, I mean, they are good.
It's all mental. It's all mental. And I think now with the conversation with mental health, I think we're starting to acknowledge how much of this stuff really is mental. Because up until now, not many people, and even if you pay attention to, like, a lot of the narratives, just even in, like, sports, television, all this stuff, we didn't think about the mentality it took to get this thing done, or to get this job done, or get to this place, or get whatever it is. Nobody ever talked about it, but now all of a sudden we're talking about what it does take mentally to get somewhere. And it's anybody can be mentally strong, but it takes not everybody's path is the same, right? This person might be dealing with, you know, trauma here, right? There's residual actions from that there, you know, a couple of messed up relationships over here. You know, maybe they had a terrible day. You know, these are all things that nobody's is the same. And that's where that kindness thing comes in. It's like, you don't know what anybody's dealing with. You don't know what kind of shitty day a man just had, or this woman just had, or whatever, you know? And
I wish I could remember that when I'm driving. I'm
road
human,
rage?
y'all. I'm human, y'all.
You have road rage in Edmonton?
No, not at all. Like, none. And you know, to my credit, I then went to Seattle and saw that I didn't. I don't even know what traffic is.
I can
love
relate
Seattle.
to that.
Might not go back just specifically because of the traffic.
I think that's why I'm so chill here in Edmonton. Is that, you know, growing up in Toronto. I grew up in Toronto traffic. I came here. I said, yes, it's a very nice pace. So what? There's nobody in this lane. Oh my, nobody. I could go in here, you know, and then like, yeah. So I think, you know, road rage is a whole other topic, but you never know what people are dealing with, you know, and that's why it's so much easier to just be kind. It's such a great standard just to set a bar. I feel like it's easy, you know, and I get why some people are miserable. You know, misery loves company. You know, some people who are miserable, they try to make everybody around them miserable. Maybe not try, but, you know, it's one of those residual effects, right? And we've come a long way in the conversation. I think we where we're at right now, especially the city of Edmonton, I think there's a lot that can be done. But the fact that they're starting to acknowledge and give space and start somewhere, and I think it's I'm not saying they've done a good job,
I feel you.
but you got to start somewhere, you know. And I compare it to other cities, and other cities, not even, you know, some of them are in the opposite direction, you know, and we're seeing, like, with gentrification and capitalism, we're seeing, you know, things like homelessness being criminalized, you know what I'm saying, which is a whole other topic we'll get to, you know, but you know, but I have hope because I see progress. It might be tiny progress, it may be really, really small progress, but direction sometimes is more important than speed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my only hiccup is that it's, you know, the needle just it needs to move more.
It does.
You know, for me, it sucks because it sounds, you know, pessimistic. It's like it is. It's good, and like, don't get it twisted. It's the change, and, you know, getting to see how, you know, Living Hope Suicide Prevention, an initiative specifically in our local area, is, you know, put together, for the record, 11ofus.ca, a suicide prevention and, like, full-on training program where they have free trauma-informed training. There's five different trauma courses that cost a ton of money in normal circumstances, but it's free. You just go to the website and sign up. So, like, that's so great, right? But then why is it not in every school, in every job, in every corporate situation? Why doesn't nobody know about it? You know, that's, like, as somebody who, for where I do the work, like, as somebody who's trying to help with affect change and be loud about it, like, it's like, I don't know how much louder I can be. You know,
you're one person.
And that's the thing, it's like where are other people being loud about this specific thing? Like, you talk about trauma-informed care would revolutionize the school to prison pipeline. Like, it's
very simple.
It's this empathetic community of love and support that's missed in our society, and yet this trauma-informed care is a lot about just being a genuinely understanding human being and make life better for somebody else so that they can do the same thing. Like, how do we miss that concept? Like, that is one of the things that, you know, I will always have work, and that's also a super drag. But, you know, I love doing this work. I love trying to affect change because it has to happen. You know, I know that when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to have a job because that needle's got to move. You know, somebody else needs to be reached. Another law needs to be changed. A group needs to be started. A Kenny needs to be gone. Something. Whatever. Something. You know, something. You know, it is a lot, but it is still super, you know, the days when it is like, am I making a difference, to see that, you know, there's another youth-led initiative, there's another youth-led group, there's another, you know, football coach that's doing cool things in this community. Like, there's just, if you just open your heart to be like, are we doing this? It is there, and that is super, super refreshing, and it does like really keep us going, keeps me going when I really do think that, nothing's changing. What's changing? If you just look, because you get tired, you get stuck in the suck. You see it, you're in that, I'm in it every day, and it's draining. Really nasty. And so all I see around me is the nasty, and it's, it takes having a good team around you to be like, did you hear about, and it's like this one positive thing that happened that was really great that had nothing to do with anything in the city, whatever the fuck, it was away. But it was like, yes, okay, cool. Red Deer did a cool thing, which is few and far between. Like, all of this cool stuff, being able to sit here with you, after talking to you like 2.5 years ago about doing this thing, that gives me hope. Because like this thing, I didn't think it was going to happen. We all of a sudden didn't get to talk. A pandemic goes in, throws a wrench and everything. And I was like, hey, how are you? Actually, I got this book coming out. I was like, yo, I got a podcast that you need to be on. Let's do this. And it's 3 days later, and here we are. Like, that gives me hope because it means that I've grown, you've grown. We've come back to do this cool thing in a much better stronger position. Yeah. And now it gets to do something greater. Like, that's hope. Mm-hmm. Did we physically move a needle? How are we supposed to know that? But this is hope-filled because it has the potential to do something. That's got to be enough.
Mm-hmm. And it's that, that we're individually doing what we can in our own respective ways to move the needle so that when you come together
it's more impactful. The needle hat, it's not going to get the chance to say no. I feel that, and I love getting to do stuff like this with other people who... I just found out that this shirt has a pocket. Sorry, everybody. I am not going to blame that on my ADD at all. I don't even remember what we were talking about. I got distracted by a pocket. Sorry, everybody.
Let's cut there.
Are you tired of the running around for a specific hair product, for a specific type of hair? Are you tired of overpaying for services like weave and extensions? Well, are you in the know of Western Canada's best kept secret? Afro Era in North Edmonton is now open and operating right at Londonderry Mall. Come shop all things black, including hair care, beauty products and accessories, and hair itself. Now accepting online orders as well as walk-ins for braids, weave, and more. There's no more running around to find the right products and services. Your hair is a statement, so treat it like one. Visit us in-store or shop with us online at afroera.ca.
Yeah, that's what I was saying with the camera. I mean, sometimes shit breaks and
you just gotta roll with it. And
you gotta just roll with it. You gotta roll with the punches sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
Man.
You gotta roll with the punches. No, but that conversation before we braked, I don't remember. We were talking about your pockets.
Yeah,
we were talking about your pockets.
Happy about the pockets.
But no, man. Like, I think there is progress. I think being made. I know it's super slow, and we want it to be happening.
I'm just impatient. I feel
Me too.
you, dog.
Like, I'm really impatient too.
I truly believe you. I know there is. It is. I am just impatient.
I think time will tell. Time tells everything. Father Time is undefeated. And with everything that happened, summer of 2020, we saw who was, down for the cause. And even today, it's almost 2 years later, right? Mm-hmm. And we're seeing who was who and who put their money where their mouth was and who stuck with the fight and was really trying to make some change, and like it's Black History Month, like it's the second Black History Month since, what I'm saying? And change doesn't happen in Black History Month. Change is something that's you chip away at slowly. I've wrapped my head around the fact that it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't matter where the change is. You can make the decision to change, right? Starting with the idea. Okay, but that's just the idea. How are we following through? What actions are we doing to follow through?
And making sure it lasts.
I think
the hard part, changes is really the easy piece when you look at it. It's how do you make it last? How do you make this stick? We've been fighting for change for so long, and everybody knows we got to change laws. And that seems to be the hardest place to make it happen.
And like that's where I became really discouraged because
Hard not to.
you know, summer of 2020, you couldn't convince me that laws couldn't be changed because I was seeing laws change overnight in other places like that. So there's no longer this, oh, you know, bureaucracy and it's got to go through here and it's got to go through here. No. If you guys want to change it, you're going to change it. It's that simple,
Yeah,
right?
You've proven it.
You've proven it.
When it vets you.
When the pressure is applied. And that's what the difference is. It's that the institutions are willing to change if there's enough pressure applied.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is not just institutions. Some of us stopped applying pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we're saying, hey, you know, like you're out there, you're vocal about it. Me, I'm vocal about it in different ways now because I think, you know, for me, I got discouraged with, you know, we went out there and we said what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We gave you what's wrong. And you didn't put your money where your mouth is. And for me, I felt like I regressed back to what I know. And I know that media is very powerful in inciting change. And that's why I'm like, okay, I'm sticking with this because this is what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I can create something to inspire some change. But I think a lot of us, you know, we stepped out of our comfort zone and some of us stepped too far out into battles we didn't quite understand, you know, fights that we didn't quite understand. And at first when there was a lot of us applying pressure, you know, it filtered people through because you start to burn out, right? This is a very intense fight you're going against, you know what I'm saying? You're not just, you're taking on institutions.
You're taking on generational trauma. You're taking on a debt that, like, you know, I don't know if you feel the same way, but like it's almost like, you know, I owe it to, you know, my people to do what I can, you know, because I have the platform, I have the voice, you know, I have the ability, you know, whatever it is, you know, it's hard not to when you realize like how long this fight's been going. It's just so, yeah, like wild. It's wild to really think about it. And even in our own right, like you know, this is Canada. This is, you know, the Indigenous generational trauma that goes so immensely deep.
It's deep.
And, you know,
it's disgusting.
You can see it and how it's been carried and how it has to be carried and how it's worn the generations down and just like no break. It is really tiring. Like, you know, we're talking about this to shed light on just how exhausting it is to carry these you know, quote unquote burdens. I don't even know if that's the right word because it doesn't, you know, feel like one. It just is this thing, this chip on our shoulder. You know, we got to keep going. Who am I to give up now?
100%. And it's also like, you know, it's a sustained effort, which is like you can't 100% all in because when you burn out, when you keep burning out over and over and over and over again, your progress isn't sustainable anymore, right? Yeah. And that's what we've seen, like when we talk about Indigenous peoples and the traumas, you know, they face. It's generations. Like we're talking like over centuries. Seven, you know, wow. Centuries of this. It's like you lose like the energy to fight. You can't fight for. It's hard to fight for generations, and it amazes me. It's amazing to me that they're still fighting, you know, and we stand in solidarity with them, you know, with like all the atrocities.
How many great Indigenous leaders I know that are still just, you know, fighting. Warrior spirit out here every day.
100%. It's amazing.
It is something else to lean on when you feel tired, is to look at how, you know, how strong these, and especially these Indigenous women are. Watching these badass women go through this and, you know, stand up and just use everything in their power to keep going and make noise and make changes.
You have to.
It's impressive as fuck, but it's also just super inspiring to know that they can still draw on that strength after this much time and after everything that's going on. Is, you know, again, who am I to stop now? Who are you to stop now?
Exactly. But I also think one more thing, you know, about the sustained fight and why people were so vocal about it in 2020 and not anymore is during the pandemic, people wanted to go back to a sense of normalcy, right? people didn't have their job, the world stopped. And I have a theory that is why so many people were so much more vocal about their injustices, because they didn't have anything to lose anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They didn't have anything to lose anymore. Now we're going back into real life. Now we're back.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are at work. Some people, you dangle a paycheck, and some people, they'll shut the fuck up. And that's real. Like, some people don't have the flexibility to say what they want.
To do, they don't have the privilege, I guess, in some way, shape, or form, or they, just can't get past the fear of it, and it is, again, super fair. It is.
I remember when during, me and Andre were talking about, how come they don't teach Black history in Canadian universities, and we talked to a lot of professors, and we got a very similar answer from a lot of them. Was that, well, some people would be scared to lose their job over bringing this up. And that's what, for me, that's where I'm like, the change won't come in this world, in the academia world. When you think about how, the academia world is a Eurocentric system. The university system is Eurocentric. It's also, what's the word I'm looking for? It is a catalyst in capitalism too. You know what I'm saying? When my last year of university, right before my last year, my York University had went on strike. And I seen the numbers of why they were going on strike. It's because, a lot of the TAs were living under the poverty line, and they were making maybe like $10,000-$12,000 a year to keep themselves in school. And I said, okay, well, I'm in the business world. I know how to read a balance sheet. I want to know how much profit York University made, the last 2 years. And they netted 37 mil that year prior to that. You bringing in 37 mil, and I understand that corporations, I get it. You want to turn a profit. I get it. 100% understand it. I'm a business owner. I understand. Like, you have to make money. But when there's a bunch of people living under the poverty line that work to make your institution function, and especially when it's the school, like we're talking about university, like this is where people are supposed to come, learn, get educated.
This is where people come from all over this globe,
from all over the world, to get an education so they can go out in the world and become better people, make the world a better place. There's profit, and you're willing to starve some people to turn your profits. This is where the problem is, and this is my beef with the scholarly world, is that it's just still functioning within the same system. And you can say the same thing about, podcasting and creating content and film and you can say it about every industry, but there's something about the school system and education
should be a standard.
That, you know what I'm saying? It's like this for-profit business model. Okay, hey, you want to come here and go to school? Take out a loan. Don't worry about it. The government will give it to you. You know what I'm saying? And to
get a piece of paper that does nothing for the companies that hire that job that you went to, because they want you at entry level to have 3 years of experience, but you couldn't do that because you were in school. But you can't do entry level because you can't get the job because you needed to do the work that they're hiring you for. It's a thing, and that makes completely zero sense to me as well.
And that's why I'm big on, and you're into this too, public speaking, man. It's a different kind of education. It's a different kind of education,
It's the after hours education. This is the stuff that they won't tell you because they fear its power.
Tell me about your public speaking journey, man, because I've seen you done a few.
Yeah. Public speaking was not really the goal, honestly. When I started this, it started as writing. I was writing pieces, call them blog pieces, call them, Suicide Note was what the first one was, honestly. And it was when I started shooting videos that this public speaking thing kind of came out as an idea. And it was, of course, our good friend Jesse,
Mm-hmm.
you know, really speaking into my life and then speaking into, you know, what skill set that I was developing by doing videos all the time. And, you know, it was easy because you're sitting on a screen. I want to say it's easy. I lied. It's not easy. It's easier than standing on a stage, that's for sure.
I can't do it. Like, I have a real difficult time looking at the screen and talking to it. This is why I'm terrible on TikTok. This is why I can't do fucking... If you look at, like, anything I do on social media, I can only pose for pictures. That's what I get paid to do. That's all I do. And I know how to do that very well. But when it comes to putting it on the camera and speaking to it, that shit is fucking hard.
Really, see, and that was like my way to not have to public speak. Like I could sit here and do this. I see everybody else take selfies. I never got to be into selfie things, so this was my version of selfie. I'm just gonna talk to myself, and you know, because of how my writing went, I was putting it out there, and when I would put it out there, I'd just put my phone down for like 6 hours in the early going because I didn't want to hear what people had to say. I didn't want to risk somebody, you know, killing it in me. I didn't want to risk somebody, you know, telling me I was lying about my own story, which has happened so often in my life. That it, you know, it's again that imposter, that like
The
that
imposter
possibility,
syndrome.
and, you know, that shit. And it was as I got better at videos, as you know, Jesse kind of fostered a space for my creativity to grow, and you know, just to be myself and more authentically Ethan. The more I am me, the easier this gets. And you know, I didn't really understand what that meant, and it was just like just talk. All I wanted to do was just talk. I'm just having a conversation with somebody when I'm, you know, sharing a piece of my story. And, you know, as I got better at how I would deliver it, I wouldn't let my emotions run so wild anymore. You know, I wouldn't let, you know, I wouldn't say all of the swear words that I know in one video. You know, I wouldn't, you know, there was, you know, just time to kind of develop the skill of just talking, you know, and then the fact that, you know, I play the drums, you know, here and there on, you know, church stages, you know, being on stage isn't so foreign, but there's also a drum kit to protect me from everybody out there. It's different when you stand on stage and there's nothing between you. You know, and my journey kind of started by, again, Jesse, you know, speaking at the rally that he did after George Floyd was murdered, you know, and that had sprung from me shooting a highly emotional, angry, cuss-filled video, just like being tired and exhausted of seeing people that look like me dying at the hands of people wearing a uniform that they deemed to be race. I don't understand. I was just fed up. And, you know, I shot this, and Jesse reached out to first console and, you know, be my mentor, and then it sprung into this idea. And getting to stand on that stage was the scariest thing I've ever done, even though it was in front of a screen. It was still COVID. This was still, it was an online event. And still it was terrifying. You know, I got up there and I was vibrating, and I remember I opened with, I am absolutely terrified, so I'm gonna try to talk to you. I'm shaking. This is new for me. I'm gonna get through this. And you know, then once I was into it, it was okay. You know, every time it's always once I get into it, I'm just talking to people now. But it's up until then, it's a thing. So, you know, getting into it was kind of just an evolutionary process of me walking through life as a creative, as trying to, you know, heal myself as well as, you know, help other people see that they can. And it started as this little thing. You know, I wanted to die. I had, you know, a plan. I wrote a piece, didn't want to share it, finally shared it, and then what happened was the complete opposite of what I thought was going to happen. I had people message me, I had people comment, thank you so much for sharing it. Like, it was the most overwhelming thing, and, you know, I didn't carry out my plan. You know, something was here, and then I would go dark again, and that was when I would be the best at writing, when I was in that war. You know, and then I would write something because I'd start shaking, and then I would just grab it, I'd write, or I'd type it out, and it'd be another piece. And I'd be so close to wanting to die again, and then I'd share it. And then it was just this cycle. Like, I had to go to the ugly and survive it by writing. And it created this thing. Then it was like, videos were next. And how can I take what I've learned in therapy and give it to somebody else? You know, these mental health minutes, I think, is what it started with. Like, I think I only shot 5 of them before. I was like, I cannot contain this in 60 seconds for the life of me. I'm just going to shoot longer videos. And, you know, that was scary, too, because then it was just sitting like this with me and my phone talking about ugly stuff for 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes at a time, you know, and in and of itself, like, showing that raw emotion as I talked about, you know, learning to cry on camera and not stop it from happening, being able to be vulnerable and open that way. Like, the first time that I cried in a video was like the most watched video that I've had still. And it was men reaching out to me going, I don't know how you did that, but like that, like, I don't remember the last time I cried. Like, the ability to just lead, like we talk, like, we talked before, like, I'm going this way, like, come with me, like, I know that we can do this together. So I lead by example. I tried to open my heart more, and then it was the darkness got a little bit less. You know, I started to move out of it and be more even keeled longer, so my message got better. You know, I was able to not have to deliver from the darkness anymore. You know, I was able to be out in the light and start kind of moving through more healing, and then, you know, letting my light just get brighter and brighter. I didn't have to stay in that suck to just get my message out anymore. Now I developed the skill where I can be okay and still have. Now I get to talk about that ugly stuff and make a better point. Now I get to use tools and resources all the time. It's just evolved as I've evolved, just naturally through the ebb and flow of surviving life as I'm going through this process. You know, I get to talk about just living my experiences and how what happened to me in the past affects how I walk through life now. And, you know, every time I have the option to shoot a video, I have to do it. Like, I will just get an idea on doing 120 kilometers down the highway, and I'll have to pull over to shoot it. Like I got to get it out, because if I don't, I miss the opportunity. It won't come back. Like, I've missed so much content because I didn't have my phone ready, or I didn't have a piece of paper ready, and it was something really profound. I would get so annoyed until I was finally like, whatever happens now, you stop and you say it. And, you know, it's just like started to evolve, and I was catching cooler moments of my story, you know, better delivered moments, you know, shorter words of encouragement, you know, things that would remind me of a better time, you know, whatever it was. It just kept growing. The more I poured out, the more I would heal, the more I would be uncomfortable, the more opportunities to be uncomfortable and grow at the same time would come to me. And it's just continued to grow and evolve every step of the way to this thing now where, you know, I have a book and people are paying to hear me read from it. I'm sorry, what?
That's crazy.
Like, I'm sorry, but like the imposter syndrome. I'm sorry, but what? What do you mean after I told you couldn't do this? People paid to hear you read something that they're going to read on their own, and then talk to you about it because they want to know how you got through something else. Like, I survived all of that to get to do this cool shit with people. Like, it's just that uncomfortable evolution of what can I do next? How do I get uncomfortable? And, you know, public speaking is one of them. Is my current big one. It is uncomfortable. And yet everything in me wants to go and stand on that stage in front of 150,000 people and say, we're better together. I did it. You can do it. Let's go. Like, we are better together. Like, I know that that's going to get to happen. I'm going to get an opportunity to speak to lots of people. And the thought of that still scares the shit out of me because, again, me? But, dude, you just did the coolest thing. Like, it's always that, continuing to evolve, speaking and getting there. You know, getting to the stage is the hardest part. Once I'm there, I'm home. Getting to that stage is still the hardest part.
And the beauty of this manifestation of this idea you had created in your head is that it started in your head. Like, you had to actually visualize it before it became a thing. You had to think of it before it became a thing. And as you were thinking of it, you had voices telling you, okay, well, no, you can't do that, or why would they listen to you? You had all these things, all these voices coming and telling you, no, you can't stand on that stage, or you can't talk to people, you can't film that video. And through all that, there's this thing, this physical thing in real life that is the manifestation of all that you were thinking, of all that you had visualized before putting it out there.
The beautiful thing about manifestation is it evolves.
It evolves.
Like, manifesting, getting to speak was all that I wanted to do. Like, I didn't say I wanted to make a career. I wanted to see what it's like to get on stage and share my story. And after that, it has now turned into, I get to travel to share it.
No, exactly. You know, it was a small thing that
like,
you
it's
just
this thing, and now I'm like, well, where can I take it?
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to manifest next? Well, it's a book that now I get to play with how this book is done. It's open avenues. You get to talk to people about the hardest things in their lives without having to, you know, traumatize them by not being a therapist and not having this, you know, the literal training, but being able to help them human to human, soul to soul, heart to heart, and be like, no, this is the gentle way. There is a way to get out of this, and I don't need to know the specifics. I know you're hurt. I've been there. I lived there. I know the neighborhood. We have jackets. The cool stop on 42nd. It's a beautiful place. But I think it's time we should go. Like, I think let's get out of hurt. Like, and that's all that I'm trying to foster, is a space for people to dig themselves out. because I had to do that.
You did it.
And I did it. And I'm still doing it. And I will continue to do it because that's how we do this as a community. You know, if I don't stop growing, I give space for other people to not stop growing. We get to do this thing together no matter what it looks like. I'm just, you know, I get to facilitate it in a different way than other people.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
I love it. Like, I think that as ugly as this work is like the most beautiful thing that I get to do with my life.
Because you know that at the end of the day, my thing has always been, and I don't know if you see it like this, but your job is to inspire one person a day. Well, if one person watches this episode and is like, man, that Ethan guy, he spoke some real shit.
Like, I win.
You know, yeah, that's
It's
the
one.
win.
It's always one. Like, it's like and that's that manifestation. Like, I want it to be. Like, and even in thinking like this is the most beautiful thing. Like, because of who I get to be, the man that I become, I get to be that man. You know, to my daughter, for my daughter, she gets to see this version of me. The guy who is starting to believe that I really don't know what I'm capable of doing in this world physically with my own body, as an athlete, as a speaker, as a dad. Like, I keep getting to grow, and she gets a better version, a leveled up version of her dad, and it also gives her space to level up. Like, that's beautiful in and of itself. That's one person no matter what.
And she has a great example.
Right? And that's so awesome because I want that legacy to be left for her in a way where it's like, yes, you know, I have this grandiose vision. I have this, I'm going to travel this world with my story. But at the heart of it is if one person, any person, every time I wake up in the morning, I know that one person's got to see this. It's always got to be one. Just one, because one more is one more is one more is one more. That is enough. And that in that piece is what's beautiful for me, is I'm going to get to be bigger, but it's always still about the one because I was the one. My story is that I was that one that just never quite got the help, the support, the care, the level of concern. I was that one, and I just need to reach that one.
Just one at a time, one day at a time, one talk at a time, one video at a time. It's, you break it down to the simplest form, it's just one.
Just one.
If the goal is one, if you simplify it, it makes it achievable. Just one person, just one video, just one talk, just one book, you know, and that one book started with one line, you know, one page, you know, it's very, very simple, and I think we complicate it. We really complicate it, you know, it's easy to complicate it. Because you look at
the
it,
most complicated, simple thing that we do.
Yeah, we're looking at it, you think, oh shit, like, I gotta speak in front of 100,000 people. That sounds hard. It is hard. You start with 1, and you move up to 10. You know, simple mathematics. Like, you know what I mean?
Are you still buying your carpets from the same place you buy your fruits? Are you still buying your carpets from the same place you buy your underwear? Shame on you. Treat your own with some respect. Come shop with me at Kashan Persian Rugs. What's that you said? You can't afford one. Nonsense. You can come in store right now and walk out with the rug with our new Buy Now, Pay Later program. That's right. Buy now, pay later. Come shop with us at Kashan Persian Rugs.
So you've written a book, right? We were just talking about this, right? tell us about the premise. Tell us we kind of know what inspired you to write it. But tell us about the book. When can we expect it out? And there's an audio book too, right?
Yeah. So the book titled Grit to Grace, I wrote it in the summer of 2020. I had started speaking, and after George Floyd was murdered, HarperCollins in Canada put out their call to action was agentless BIPOC submission, so you can just put in whatever you wanted, send it in. So unfortunately, when Jesse clocked it, there was only 30 days left, so I had to get on it. And 30 days later, I was sitting in Calgary celebrating that I'd written a book. About my life, and my life of surviving a decade's worth of child abuse at the hands of somebody in my family. What happened after I put him away. How I grew up, the things that make me tick, and how I evolved and grew from the trauma. And it goes up into kind of when I started doing this work. And it's the book itself is a lot like how I deliver my message. It's very raw. It's very heavy. There's a lot in it. There's a lot of anger in the book. There's a lot of, just emotion. I poured a lot of healing into the book without, intending to do it. There's I pulled punches in a lot of places. I delivered some in others. This book it walks through how much suck, I can remember at any given time that I've been through, and still came out the other side, in some way, shape, or form. It really goes into my relationship with family and why it is the way it is. It goes into, some of the relationships where my abuse could have been stopped. It really is, much more of an autobiographical self-help book than it is anything else. But it's also, it's the catalyst to more books. I'll say that. There are lots of things that in the book itself I could make an entire book about. And so I do believe that there are lots of things going in my brain right now, and in my creative mind, and in my mind of being an author and a public speaker, that will lead me to write more books. And creating my own label for Grit to Grace to be printed on is part of that step. And it just, for me, it was a part of this, can I do this thing, this task that's been given to me. Jesse likes to challenge me. He's really good at pushing me to the limits of what I think I'm capable of, because he's always, a step ahead and knows that I'm going to knock it out of the park. And it'd be cool if I could believe that beforehand. I'm working on it. So it was always, when I attacked this thing, it was, can I do this? Can I, Ethan, sit and write this thing with this little time and, prove to me that I can, undertake something that makes me fucking uncomfortable. That was really the first time that I proved, everything up until then was uncomfortable as shit. But that one was really big, knowing, I talked about it in therapy a lot. I actually put it down for the first week. I put, 2,000 or 3,000 words in the first day. Took a lot of time because I had to, talk it into my phone, then transcribe it, and was trying to edit it. And it just was this headache and really heavy trying to remember back past the shit to get to the, being a kid. But because my story starts at 5, nothing happened before then. It was just really heavy, and so I put it down, there's no way I can do this. Nobody's gonna want to hear this shit. What do you mean? This is gonna be gross. It's gonna be, just all of this super imposter syndrome, but just super really not believing that this was, something I was capable of doing. It's not what I wanted to do. And, after, about a week, something in me, just like my writing, was like, you can if you just try. Just believe it. Give yourself a day of believing. And, so I sat down and put down 3,000 or 4,000 words, and then it started to become like this. Oh, I did it one day. Can I do it 2 in a row and make sure I hit my quota of 2,000 words? And I was like, oh, a quota. I should have a word quota. And I started to challenge myself in the challenge with smaller challenges. And I started to realize I can convince myself to do stuff and jump around the defense system and the toxic defense mechanisms if I listen to what I'm saying in rebuttal to doing the good shit. And, so I started to be able to beat myself in my own game. 2,000 words isn't really that much when you're talking to your phone. So just tell the story, talk to yourself. And the book is written like a conversation with me. I'm not particularly talking to anybody in particular. I'm just talking. I said particular twice there. Didn't like that. And so, it's just, when I talk to myself, it's much easier to process everything as we go, because it's just like this, it's almost like an internal monologue. Like, I lived the story, I'm just telling it out loud, and it started to flow, right?
Yeah, it comes
but
from
then
the
it was that piece of it. It was like I would get halfway through a story and go, oh shit, I forgot about this piece. So I'd be able to go back and talk again and really like pour into it. Oh, but Jay taught me that in therapy, and so I will like end a paragraph with like a way to do like a breathe session at the end of something anxiety ridden. Getting to kind of use what I knew at the time and evolve, it became this fun thing near the end where I was like, then it was starting to get down to the time because I'd wasted so much of it. And the last 3 days, I think, were like 7,000 word days or something like that, because I took a bunch of stuff out I didn't like. I edited it and quick edited it, and it was like, oh God. But it just like, and then I put out a couple of big word days, and I was like, I could have done this the whole time. Like, I proved one more thing at the end that I was like, I'm capable of more than that still. And, that was the first time that I completed a project like that proved to me that I could do this thing, whatever the fuck it is, or turns into, whatever task comes my way. Like, I can, in my own weird way, get it done. So what does that mean? And it's just been always the next thing. Like, how do I do this my way and make sure that, I actually do the work? Mm-hmm. I can do it if I really try. So how do I make sure that I do this work? And it was just always growing and evolving. And that book was the catalyst to a lot of this stuff that I do now, why I'm good at a lot of the stuff that I am now, and will be why I'm better at other things down the road. So yeah, this book it's really heavy. It's a really deep and intense journey. And working on the Indiegogo to get it published now. There's going to be an audiobook, and I'm going to narrate it. I was going to give it to somebody that, I trust deeply, to one of my close circle. That's a big ask, but, it's my story.
Mm-hmm. So you went through Indiegogo. Tell us about your publishing process. Like, what did
so I'm going to self-publish. That's why I get to create my own label. Mm-hmm. And so Serotonin Creatives, they jumped on the book like early, like weeks after I'd written it. They, happenstance, I put on a challenge and was picking up a prize somebody was giving me, and they had the publisher there, and I needed to be there for 5 minutes, and I was there for like 3 hours. And so they've been really interested in the whole time. So they decided, let's do this thing. We'll go the Indiegogo route. It's, crowdfunding, push it. It's been a tough sled, but it's also, opened up doors to do other really cool things. And the audiobook is a really big piece of this one. As I'm speaking about the book more and doing these readings and seeing the effect that they have, I know that I, have the responsibility to narrate this, but to also kind of create a very cool experience with the audiobook as it, as we get to work through it and stuff. So, the Indiegogo is, publishing Grit to Grace. I'm sure we can put the link up somewhere, but, more importantly, it's just, it's just that the book comes out. For me, timelines are a weird thing. I said this spring when I started this Indiegogo, and because of a couple of shifts, in funding, but also in the way I want to attack publishing it, chances are it's going to be, late spring instead of early spring. But in that, there's a really cool piece of work that we get to do with this book. So it'll be fun. You're going to have to stay tuned for that, though. But, after hours only goes so far. But yeah, like there's some really cool projects coming with the book as its own project. There's some mini projects coming along that you can keep your eyes out for. It'll be a good time.
It's exciting, man. It's exciting that, you, by pulling yourself out of whatever it was that you were going through, which is this years of trauma, drug abuse, all the things you named, you pulled yourself out of that, which was like, I imagine that when you're in it, the only thing you want to do is pull yourself out.
Yes and no.
Then, yes and no, right? That's a whole
other
conversation.
We ain't got the time for that answer, man.
When you did finally pull yourself out,
mm-hmm.
you realize that there's, oh shit, like, my story can actually move the needle. Mm-hmm. You thought that, you got there and that was the end. Mm-hmm. But really, that's just the beginning.
Yeah, it really was.
It's really the beginning, right? It's like now you're talking, you're sharing your experiences. Mm-hmm. You're writing a book. What I'm saying? When you write a book, I'm sorry. Once you become that you're solidified, like you're expert. Your expertise is here. It's just real. It's physical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You were an expert before, but now it's like, yeah. Just read my book. You know what I mean? There's a bit of a thing that comes with writing a book. You know, it's like this book about your life, and it's so powerful because someone can read it.
Mm-hmm.
I say, damn, like I can get through the shit that I'm going through.
Yeah.
You know, how can I not? There's an
Well, yeah,
example.
that's- yeah,
There's an example in front of me. There's this thing that is a testament to this man's approach and how he got himself out of it, and now I can get myself out of it.
You know, we as humans, you know, we just need possible.
That's it. That's all you need.
Like we
That's
just
all
need
you
possible. I found that in doing this work is like, and I know as a trauma survivor, like I needed, like, it's possible. And, you know, that little bit of hope, and, you know, we do lose it. You know, I'm open about it. You know, many suicide attempts. You know, many just not wanting to keep being in such a shitty place. You know, and always, you know, coming through, surviving them. You know, making a different decision. You know, whatever it was. You know, getting to come to this place and still be able to say, like, I just need possible. You just need possible. Like, I'm just a guy. I'm just a man. I am just here showing you that it is possible. Tomorrow is possible. Like, you can get better. It does, and it will. Like, I promise you guys, it will. You just got to believe that it can. You got to believe that it can. And that, like, telling people that never registers, so I'm going to fucking show you. I'm just going to go live. I'm going to thrive. I'm going to grow, and then I'm going to share my story and be loud about it, so you can't ignore the fact that I said I could do it, and you could do it, and I just proved it can be done. Let's go do it. I'm still here. Let's go do it.
That's it. That's all you need, man. And I can see how, meeting Jesse and stuff, how that could be everything, you know, because that's also a glimpse of possible, right? You know, having the right people around you, that's a glimpse of possible, right? And then we duplicate it. We find ways to duplicate it. We find new ways to duplicate it, you know? It's like, yeah, I'm Ethan, and I'm the testament to that this is possible. Now it's about how can I keep spreading this message exponentially.
And the cool part about it is it's not just, you know, it's not just about escaping the darkness that I can do. You know, I've built a successful business. I can do that too. I wrote a book. I can do that too. You know, like these, you know, I just try to inspire people where they are. Like what this book is really for everybody, because somewhere along the line I fell through the cracks. So it's for the people that miss me, but it's for the people that also know me, that know suffering, that know the darkest depths of whatever they're in, that know where I come from. It's for them too. Like, this thing is so far reaching because everybody should hear some portion of this. If you had clocked in my story anything about me as a child and watched the switch happen overnight and know anything about trauma, it could have been ended in kindergarten when it should have been, or grade 1, or the incident in grade 2, or the other 3 incidents in grade 3, and then the 7 and 4. And as it just kept nobody, it's because nobody knew how to see it. You can't ignore me now. Now I'm telling you how to see it.
Now you're identifying. You're
Now
giving
I'm
guys
telling
tools.
you that you can help. You can help these people. You have that thing here, that gut instinct that says something might be off. Is like bats like 94%.
I say it's 99%.
I'm trying for the pessimists out there. I'm trying, because I know somebody's like, well, my gut's always wrong. It's like, no, your gut was right. Your interpretation of it was wrong. That's the difference.
That's it right there.
That's the difference, because your gut said this, and you're like, well, maybe and you might have only done a quarter of what the gut said to do. If you'd just done it the whole 100, guess what? The problem wouldn't happen. But you chose to do the thing where you regress and you pull back. And I get it. I know you're human. I'm human. I do it all the time. But in and of itself, the gut was right. This was not. And there, in and of itself, proves my point.
It's that simple.
Man, that's what I'm saying. Is that simple?
That's the say.
It's that simple. People are like, it's not that simple. Like, we know that it is. It's Jesse does this to me all the time. I'm telling you, he's gonna see this. You know what I'm talking about. It's really it is simple. No, Jesse, it's hard. No, getting there is hard. It is simple. It's do it.
Simple.
It's that thing. It's do it.
I'll tell you, it's interesting. My first encounter with Jesse, I told him that I was working on this project, this documentary project, and he says to me, I think it's like the first week I started working on it, he says to me, have you written a treatment for it? I'm like, no. He's like, why not? Now I'm asking myself,
why not?
Nigga, why haven't you written a treatment for it? What are we doing here? Then I go back to my office. I'm looking at my computer screen. I'm looking at all my notes. I'm looking at all the research. I'm like, fuck it. Let me just fucking write a treatment for it. And then I ended up in 5-6 days with all the research I had put together, writing a treatment for it. And I'm like, well, damn. Well, I just met this guy.
Yeah.
And his influence, it was that just do it. It was really that simple.
It was. It really is contagious. Like, all you have to do is take it on faith that whoever said it to you is right.
Yeah.
Like, really, if I didn't trust Jesse at any given time in this, with how he is just driving forward all the time, like, I wouldn't be here. It was taking it on faith that he wants what's best for me. I have to trust that about the person to believe what he says. And that was the thing. Like, I don't think he's here to harm me. I think he has my best interest in mind. So when he says just do it, like, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to just do it. And it hasn't failed me yet.
It never fails.
It's just the simple portion of, can you make it on this side of, I can't do that. Yeah. If you just make it on and do it, you make it over there, you already won.
That's it.
You don't make it over there.
It's 95% mental. Tell us where we can find your work, man. Let us know where we can find you.
Absolutely. Working on the website as we speak. Instagram is where I'm, do most of my work. Fight me on this _ at the front, at the back. But if you just search Ethan Nicolas, Nicolas, there's no H or K. Cool. You can find me there. Pity the Fool Fitness on Facebook is my training stuff, and where I still share some of the mental health. And yeah, those are the big ones right now. And the Indiegogo I'll send you after this.
I'm excited for the book, man.
Yeah, man. I'm each day, as it changes and grows and evolves, it just becomes more exciting to be a part of such a project that so many people believe in and really want to see come to fruition. So it's fun, man. It's exciting.
You should celebrate yourself, man. You should look in the mirror and tell yourself, you went through a whole lot of shit to be here right now. And everything.
That's funny. I did it in the car today on the way here. I was on the highway. I was just like, man, like, you've done some really cool shit. Like, can you just take a second and just be happy with the fact that you're not only that you're here, you have a daughter in the backseat that loves you to death, that just wants to listen to music and sing along the whole way. Like, she has your love for music. Like, you're able to give that to her. I'm an author that's about to be published. Like, you tell me 3 years ago before I wrote the book that I'd be able, you tell me a year ago, even with the book there, that I was actually going to publish it, I tell you, you're fucking crazy. I'm sitting there thinking, I did this thing. I spoke to a room of 10 people virtually and changed 10 people's lives for the better because they told me I did. Like, that, you're doing the thing you are trying to do and making change. And be happy with yourself for 1 second, dude. Like, I don't take enough time to stop and be like, fuck, what? Like, because for me, and I know what this was like, I don't ever want to be, not humble. I want to remain humble. I don't want this to be taken from me because I'm an arrogant shit, or, I don't want to be like, I did this, like, but I fucking did. Yeah. And I had to survive to do it. And I have to keep surviving to, like, it's the hard line to do the internal, be happy and appreciative and, take a second to bask in the success that you've had, because I never want to lose that humility piece. But, even in the car today, it was just like, dude, you're humble. You are humble, but you have done some fucking cool stuff, and you are strong enough to do more cool shit. But don't never stop praying for the strength to keep doing it, because you know what comes next. A bigger, a better enemy. Yeah. A bigger foe, a bigger thing to fight against. So let's go.
Let's get it. And that's why you got to celebrate yourself. What's that line, man? You know it's real when you are who you think you are. That's it. My guy, Ethan.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, my brother.
You,
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. This was really great.
You guys know what it is, man. The Gifted Gab, 1K Convos. Go home and think about what you just listened to. Just like that, we gone.